Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Yashodanandana Vrajajana Randana Yashodanandana Vrajajana Randana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Yashodanandana Vrajajana Randana Yashodanandana Vrajajana Randana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hari Bol. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhav Radha Madhav Radhe. Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Gaura Primanandi Dayam Vishupad Paramahamsa Parivraj Gachaja Stotra Satta Sri Simar His Divine Grace Shirabai Charan Narvinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Skandi Biti Founder Charya's Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Samavata Bhakta Vrinda Ki Harinam Sankirtan Ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Dainitai Gaura Pimanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and to Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. These flowers, kindly brought by Gauranitai Prabhu, may kindly be offered to our Pujari. Just take it and give it to him. Now I'm telling, thank you for bringing the flowers, but they should not sit there. They should go. Then he's gonna, Welcome.
I wanted to ask if it is
What is that?
offerable fruit or not. I found it on the road.
On the road?
Not the road, on the plant.
On the plant, huh?
Here, just in the corner.
I see. How many are there? Just two. Oh, I see. You can offer separate.
Some are bitter, and this is to ripen. It is used actually as a vegetable when it is
vegetable.
Yeah,
for vegetable.
when it is tender.
Tender, okay, yeah. It's quite soft, maybe two. Yeah.
Yeah, this is overripe.
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 Overripe, yeah.
Usually when it is tender, strong, it used as vegetable. But there are two kinds.
Anyways,
One kind is bitter.
Just I don't want to make a mistake to put it there.
Yeah, right.
It's not. It's maybe poisonous.
Yeah, right, correct. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Takshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Parakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalitam Sri Vishakanditam Scha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Siti Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyaivacha Patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim sarasatim vyasam tato jayamudirayet. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, let us first offer our respectful obeisances unto Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Narayan Rishi, the supremmost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayesa badreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati tamasloke bhaktir bhaviti naistiki. By regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering a service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within the heart becomes destroyed practically to nil, and loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahma Samhitam Uttamashloka Charitam Chakara Bhagavan Rishi Nishreyasaya Lokasya Dhanyam Swasyayanam Mahat. This Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Grantaraj, the king of all Vedic literatures, is the literary incarnation of God. It is compiled by the incarnation of God, Srila Vyasadeva. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Sarabhyai Namaha. Om Sarabhyai Namaha. Om Sarabhyai Namaha. Mukam karoti vasalam pangum langayate girim. Yat kripa tamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataram. Yat kripa tamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam. Hare Krishna. Welcome to our morning. What is it?
Black.
Oh.
Listening your press.
Yes.
Yeah, he goes to the Vyasas.
I think his home is inside there somewhere. Yeah. For those who are coming a little bit on the late side, we were reading how today is a special day in that it is the disappearance of Sri Baladev Vidyabhusana, very important personality. It is also Ganga Puja. You've come at the right time. Ganga is here and it's Ganga Puja. And also today is Srimati Gangamata Goswamini Abhirbhav Tithi appearance. So you selected your days, right days to come to Sridham Mayapur. We are continuing our reading and discussions from the first canto. Something happened here. First canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 7, which is entitled "The Son of Drona Punished." Okay. Today we are reading text 40. Sutta Uvacha Evam Parikshata Dharmam Partha Krishnena Choditaha Naichad Dhantum Guru Sutam Yadyapi Atma Hanam Mahan Sutta Uvacha Evam Parikshata Dharmam Partha Krishnena Choditaha Naichad Dhantum Guru Sutam Yajapyatma Hanam Mahan Sutta Uvacha Evam Parikshata Dharmam Partha Krishnena Choditaha Naichad Dhantum Guru Sutam Yajapyatma Hanam Mahan Sutta Uvacha Evam Parikshata Dharmam Partha Krishnena Choditaha Naichad Dhantum Guru Sutam Yadyapyatma Hanam Mahan Sutta Uvacha Evam Parikshata Dharmam Partha Krishnena Choditaha Naichad Dhantum Guru Sutam Yadyapyatma Hanam Mahan Sutta Uvacha
Evam Parikshata
Dharmam
Partha Krishnena Choditaha
Partha Krishnena Choditaha
Naishadhantum Guru Sutam
Naichad Dhantum Guru Sutam
Yadyapyatma Hanam Mahan
Yadyapyatma Hanam Mahan Sutta Sutta Goswami Uvacha said Evam this Parikshata being examined Dharmam in the matter of duty Partha Sri Arjuna Krishnena by Lord Krishna Choditaha being encouraged Na Aichat did not like Hantum to kill Guru Sutam the son of his teacher Yadyapi although Atmahanam murderer of sons Mahan very great Translation and purport by the Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Sutta Goswami said, although Krishna, who was examining Arjuna in religion, encouraged Arjuna to kill the son of Dronacharya, Arjuna, a great soul, did not like the idea of killing him, although Ashvatthama was a heinous murderer of Arjuna's family members. Kindly repeat after me. Sutta Goswami said, although Krishna, who was examining Arjuna in religion, and encouraged Arjuna to kill the son of Dronacharya, Arjuna, a great soul, did not like the idea of killing him, although Ashvatthama was a heinous murderer of Arjuna's family members. Purport. Arjuna was a great soul, undoubtedly, which is proved here also. He is encouraged herein personally by the Lord to kill, Hare Krishna, to kill the son of Drona. But Arjuna considers that the son of his great teacher should be spared, for he happens to be the son of Dronacharya, even though he is an unworthy son, having done all sorts of heinous acts whimsically for no one's benefit. Lord Sri Krishna encouraged Arjuna outwardly just to test Arjuna's sense of duty. It is not that Arjuna was incomplete in the sense of his duty, nor was Lord Sri Krishna unaware of Arjuna's sense of duty. But Lord Sri Krishna put to test many of his pure devotees just to magnify the sense of duty. The gopis were put to such tests as well. Prahlad Maharaj also was put to such a test. All pure devotees come out successful in the respective tests by the Lord. Translation again. Sutta Goswami said, although Krishna, who was examining Arjuna in religion, the word is parikshata, evam parikshata dharmam, examining Arjuna in religion, encouraged Arjuna to kill the son of Dronacharya. Arjuna, a great soul, did not like the idea of killing him, although Ashvatthama was a heinous murderer of Arjuna's family members. So this throws a little bit of light on what we were discussing in the last few days. On the one side, there is Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is giving a direct instruction, kill him. And on the other side, there is Arjuna, who is a surrendered soul, very elevated devotee, and normally upon receiving such orders from either the spiritual master or the spiritual master of all spiritual masters, Krishna himself, one should execute that order. But here, Prabhupada is giving some little insight, specifically explaining the verse actually itself. Prabhupada is simply elaborating on what is mentioned in the text. This parikshita, actually the word parikshit connected also with examining. Examining. So the understanding of our acharyas, as explained here by Srila Prabhupada in the purport, was that the Lord at different times and many times puts his pure devotees into seemingly awkward or difficult situations for a particular reason, for the purpose of actually, here it mentions about testing his devotee, for the purpose of going more deeply into the subject matter of, ultimately, of dharma. Dharma is translated in many words. Here it is especially being used in the sense of duty, or law actually also. Duty. If we know our dharma, we will understand what is our duty, our responsibility. But there are instances where, like in this particular one, it is enjoined in the Shastra that if one kills relatives in the family, or if one, these were outlined in some of the previous verses, under specific circumstances, although we uphold the principle of nonviolence, but Prabhupada one time was mentioning how Mahatma Gandhi wanted to establish the principle of nonviolence from the Bhagavad Gita, which is somewhat difficult because it's Bhagavad Gita is relating the whole battle of Kurukshetra, where there is a lot of violence. So although Shastra upholds, it is one of the 30 qualities, right? In the 7th canto, chapter 11, I believe, when Narada Muni outlines begins speaking on the subject matter of Varnashrama, he gives a list of the 30 qualities that everyone in the human form of life is meant to acquire, beginning with Satyam, and Satyam, Daya, Tapa, Socham, the 4 principles of Dharma. And it's kind of interesting actually because within these 4 principles of Dharma, which are meant for all human beings, later on in that section of the Bhagavatam, Narada Muni, when speaking about the duties and responsibilities of Shudras, normally we think, well, Bhagavad Gita just mentions business of Shudra is simply to serve. But in the Bhagavatam, in that section, Narada Muni gives 9 qualities, 9 responsibilities of Shudras. And 2 of those are actually directly connected with these 4 pillars of Dharma. A good or qualified Shudra should be very truthful, number 1. And secondly, he should also be very clean, socham. So these qualities are very important for all the members of society. So in that list, after mentioning these 4 pillars of Dharma, Narada Muni also mentions about ahimsa, non-violence. But here we see how sometimes it is not what we say black and white. So that's why the subject matter that we discuss needs to be considered from different angles and point of view, and of course we especially need to to hear and to take into consideration when there are difficult kind of situations, the point of view or the explanation from our Vaishnav acharyas, who, because of their more deeper knowledge of Shastra, more extensive knowledge of Shastra, and also being situated on this very high level of self-realization, can see things, can explain things also that are not obvious for the common people and also for the common devotees. Although one is a devotee, there are different levels of realization, and therefore hearing from our acharyas, that's exactly what Prabhupada did, of course, as we know, in putting together these purports of the Bhagavatam. So Krishna, although he gave that order, this verse is giving us this insight that he wanted to test Arjuna in terms of his understanding of actually what is dharma. In this situation, actually, I'm telling you actually to kill him. You should kill this Ashwatthama. He's gone against the principles of dharma. But Krishna was testing what will Arjuna do. And of course, from the very beginning of the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains, Arjuna is undoubtedly, of course, a very elevated personality. And because of other considerations, he is expressing reservations about killing Ashwatthama because he happens to be the son of a Brahmana. Although ordinarily, because actually Ashwatthama killed Arjuna's own son, along with the other sons of the other Pandavas. So, in a normal situation, a father would have that kind of would agree, not only because it's based on Shastra, but because it's also we could say a natural reaction of someone who is a father. Now, obviously, there are discussions that can be made on this. If there's any, we will, I think it will be explained or revealed in the verses to come, other aspects, or maybe why Arjuna was put into this dilemma. Actually, it's a dilemma. Here is Arjuna's closest friend, who is none other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead, giving him a very clear instruction. And Arjuna, who is also knowledgeable about dharma, but of course, in an inferior position because he's an ordinary jiva, but he's hesitating. So Prabhupada actually, in the purport, as we mentioned a little earlier, he does this, he puts sometimes his devotees in such situations for the purpose ultimately of actually bringing out the best of his devotees. It's also explained that actually the Lord puts all of us ultimately in various, and especially his pure devotees. One of the reasons that it is explained is that he puts his devotees, his pure devotees, in seemingly very difficult situations, knowing that actually, because they are pure devotees, they will find the way to actually come out, let's say, victorious, and ultimately, it is one of the purposes is meant to glorify his devotees by testing them and seeing them pass the test. Yeah. So before we go on to next verses, any discussions on this? You were within hearing distance, but maybe, yeah. Yes.
I have two considerations. One is that before that decision, there is a quite long speech of Krishna, and that speech could be one kind of key to understand how Arjuna understood Krishna's hidden but main desire. So, in that few words, few sentences, we have to find a key how already Krishna ordered Arjuna not to kill him but do something else. And what to do, he already hinted, because Krishna is not just testing, he already gives the answer, but we have to find it. That's one point, that how we study that.
In the few verses before this, when
yeah,
Krishna
yeah,
is speaking.
So how he gives a hint for Arjuna to understand is not so simply, it's a test for you. Not just act whimsically, but do whatever really the best.
Right.
That's one concentration. Other is that you often tells about the Dharma. It's very correct that we have to know the Dharma. So the Bhagavatam speaks about the Dharma in different cantos. Here in first canto, we hear a lot about the Dharma. Bhishma, the bull speaking to
Parikshit
Bhumi
Maharaj.
Devi. Here we have heard about Dharma. So that's kind of one level of discussion of the Dharma. And the other is very famous part, 5 big long chapter, all about the Varnashram Dharma.
Right.
But they should be different, because one is in the first canto, when the listener is differently qualified than one who is listened in the 7th canto after understood the first 6 cantos. So I'm sure that if we study the 2 type of informations, we can find out then in which situation we should teach others this type of dharmic information which is discussed in the first canto, and in different level of devotees we should discuss the dharma or the Vaishnava Dharma differently. Because for them, if they speak about this, that would be not enough.
So you're saying that in the first canto there is a lot of reference and discussions about Dharma.
Yeah.
And in other cantos as well, especially the 7th canto.
Others also.
Yeah, right.
7th, yeah.
Practically in all the cantos, some mention, but in this 7th canto especially, 4 or 5 chapters. That means quite extensively. Narada Muni is discussing about Dharma. So you're mentioning that there is some differences in terms of the Dharma that's being described in the first canto and in the 7th canto.
Definitely. I have some.
But Dharma is one.
Yeah, but the goal is different.
The goal is not different.
Means the steps. Like Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that you should fix yourself in one level, and then you give up that rules and regulations by which you fix yourself, and then take the next level and have a different rules regulations. So Dharma is one, but have different levels of advancement in spirituality, and have different rules regulation which have to consider for ourselves.
Yeah. Dharma is for the devotees, our favorite topic of discussion, which is natural. and of course, I think it's very helpful to, I'm not denying that there will be different levels, and for each level, possibly different sets of rules or practices as well. Just like if we look at, that's all very elaborately described in the Nectar Devotion, different levels of dharma, of bhakti, sadhana bhakti, and bhava bhakti, and then prema bhakti, which is describing different levels for which there are different maybe activities or regulations. I think it's helpful to also keep in mind that, in the first canto, there is mention also of varnashrama dharma, but not as elaborately as we find in the seventh canto. And what I feel is often missing or less understood, and maybe our devotees can comment on this. Anyone might like to comment on this, but because the subject matter of dharma is so crucial and so essential, unless we have a clear understanding of the two primary fundamental essential levels of dharma, which are meant to, we could say, support one another, because they are both, in terms of dharma, with ultimately the same goal and objective, which is to advance in Krishna consciousness. I'm referring to the very simple and basic division of what Prabhupada refers to, what our acharyas refer to as material swadharma, which is varnashrama, and spiritual swadharma. Both have a very unique and detailed explanation, because they have to do with two levels of reality. The reality on the one side, in terms of spiritual swadharma, the reality of the spirit soul, and of course, on the other side, the reality of this body, and our dealing with the material nature and the material energy, which is in connection with varnashrama dharma. Now, I'm sure that within both of these also there are different levels, isn't it? Which may not always be so easy for us to completely enter into these different levels. Our Goswamis in particular, because they were that was their daily meditation, their daily seva. They were every day reading so many literatures. That is one of, in the prayers to the Goswamis, we glorify them for being Nana Shastra Vicharanai, Sadharma Samstapanarthayu. They have, in following the order given to them by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they have very deeply studied the subject matter of dharma, and especially have focused. I think it's not incorrect to say that they have especially focused on the spiritual swadharma as opposed to material swadharma. We could say that so much so that actually some devotees are of the opinion as we know, that, well, what is just most important and maybe only important for us is the spiritual Swadharma. Everything else is very, very secondary. So I don't want to deviate from the points you are making, but maybe trying to add.
Yeah, you are not deviating.
Right.
Definitely not.
Add to this dimension of how the topic of dharma is a very intricate subject matter, which Narada Muni explains in a very beautiful shloka in the 11th chapter, of the 7th canto. 7:11:7. You can look it up. 7 canto 11th chapter and verse 7. Dharma mulam. He begins with dharma. Dharma mulam hi bhagavan sarva veda mayo harihi smritam cha tabidam rajan yena chatma prasidati. You can read the translation loudly.
The Supreme Being, the personality of Godhead, is the essence of all Vedic knowledge, the root of all religious principles, and the memory of great authorities. O King Yudhishthira, this principle of religion is to be understood as evidence. On the basis of this religious principle, everything is satisfied, including one's mind, soul, and even one's body.
Yeah. So this particular section in the verse that I wanted to highlight is called Smritam Cha Tadvidam Rajan. Smritam, Prabhupada translates that dharma is the memory, how does Prabhupada say, the memory of all devotees, right? The memory of great devotees?
The memory of great authorities.
Yeah, the memory of great authorities. So this we need to understand as being, and I think Prabhupada possibly elaborates in the purport, that because we, as aspiring Vaishnavas, aspiring devotees, want to act based on the principles of dharma, so therefore smriti, which means to remember, it means that this is meant to be the primary, we could say, meditation, the primary thought and meditation, which obviously means at different times, just like in Bhagavatam class, discussions on the subject matter so that we all have opportunity to further, deepen our understanding of dharma. And in this way, fulfill the primary goal and objective of life, which, as mentioned in the verse, the more we follow dharma, the more we understand dharma, then all of our necessities of life, both material as well as spiritual, will be met. And this is where, in my limited observations, I think there is a, we could call it a disconnect. Disconnect means it's not matching. I think there's a case to be made. There's a case to be made that there is a disconnect, too large of a disconnect amongst too many of our devotees between spiritual Swadharma and material Swadharma.
Yeah, they are too far.
Yeah. Because ideal Vedic culture, ideal Vedic lifestyle blends these two like perfectly. And of course that perfect blend is to be found in Vrindavan, right? Vrindavan, village life. Make Vrindavan villages, because that's where Krishna brings all the residents of Braja to the highest realm of spiritual transcendence, devotional transcendence, and also teaches us, although it is not obviously not immediately obvious, teaches us what is meant to be the ideal prescribed duty. What is actually the ideal practical science of economy, and what is also the ideal practical science of education. The science of economy, Vedic economy as we know, being connected with cows and land. And the science of education for the majority of young boys and young girls also, but especially for young boys, this is nicely explained in the chapter, what chapter is it? Chapter 11 of the 10th canto, 10:11, verse 37, actually, where Prabhupada gives a wonderful explanation in that purport. We've mentioned it a number of times, giving the difference, giving the real meaning of Vedic education. I used to think that Vedic education is equal to Gurukul. It is true, but not complete. Vedic education for the Brahmanas is Gurukul, but for the majority of, let's look at boys' education. For those who are Brahmanas, Gurukul is Vedic education, but the majority, as we know, are not Brahmanas. So what is the education for them? Actually, the Vedic standard, and that's stated in that purport of text number 37, academic education is Gurukul, and non-academic activities, primarily such as looking after cows and looking after the land, doing agriculture, this is Vedic education. And it's a very interesting subject matter, actually, because why? Because we think of education in a different way. Unless you're registered in some institution and you pay the fees and you get admitted, then for us that is education. Education for us is a building, but actually in the Vedic culture it's not like that. And this is, this has to be discussed, and this has to be meditated upon, I would say, by devotees, because unless we understand these two levels of Vedic education, how will we ever be able to restore Vedic culture? Isn't it? Vedic culture is ideally exhibited in Vrindavan village. And those same activities of Vrindavan villages have carried through, all of these years in the villages, especially in India. I'm sure in other villages in outside, let's say, of India, but especially in India, where the climate and so many things favor this type of more simple. That historically, this was pointed out to me quite some years back, that historically the majority of the population on the planet lived where? Huh?
In country.
In country.
Countryside. Village.
No, but where on the planet?
India, subcontinent.
Yeah.
Asian countries, especially. If you study the population over the centuries, that even today, Asian countries are like most densely populated because it's more simple to live. You don't have to battle with the forces of material nature like you do in Canada, for example, or other European countries where it's like, 10, 20, 30 degrees below zero in the wintertime, and you can't grow anything. And if you have neglected to store food for the winter, well, you'll starve. There's a whole system for canning and for preserving food, etc., like that. It means that actually those are not the most ideal places to live. Yes.
And just one sentence that if you see, still know all the people could live here in that Asian areas, but the persons who have no faith in their superiors or older persons, they just run out. And
Yes.
then naturally they find a new place. I don't want to live with you, my father, because you have so many rules or regulations I don't want to follow. I want to be free. So all the faithless person goes to West.
Like you and I.
Yeah, definitely. We have no faith in this. I think we are
Our
want to
ancestors.
become free. Crazy persons go to West. And then what crazy person will do in West? Crazy things. They kill each other. They find out different
Yes.
systems. They're just crazy.
Yes. Good point. I mean, we're from the West. So in the Vedic culture, like in America, they have a saying, whether it's in the same for the United States and Canada. I don't know about Europe, but the saying is, if you want to be successful, go west, young man, go west. But in the Vedic culture, is if you want to be successful, go north.
Yeah, because success is different. Success, you live freely.
Go north, go to the Himalayas, go to where the sadhus. Yeah. Of course, for preaching purposes, we will go west. We will go anywhere. We'll go north, south, east, and west. Prabhupada mentions our acharyas will go to hell, to preach the message of Krishna consciousness. But I mean, that's why in the Vedic culture, I'm sure some devotees or maybe non-devotees have made some research on like what was the geography. Sometimes we see some pictures of ancient India, the geography, which is very different from today, because India was like very spread out. But what was the overall, let's say, population? What do you call it? Demography, right? What was the population in other countries, especially? I mean, we know, for example, that in North America, when North America was discovered, only the we call Red Indians or Amerindians lived in North America, and compared to Asia or even Europe also. Of course, Prabhupada mentions in one lecture to his disciples in America, he was talking about, when Parashuram, kind of annihilated 21 times the Kshatriya kings, that they fled. They fled to Europe. And so we have, European stock. So in one lecture, Prabhupada was telling, his audience was basically Americans, people from North America, maybe some Canadians were there also. He says that you people, you are descendants of, you come from Europe, and it means that, you're descendants from Kshatriya stock. Doesn't mean that they're Kshatriyas, but
Rebel.
yeah.
Prabhupada did mention that Maharaj Yayati, the grandson of Maharaj Parishit, he gave to his sons parts of Europe.
Parts of like America
Europe.
or Europe. Yeah, correct.
Turkey, you mentioned
Yeah. Right. As a punishment, maybe.
Bhagavatam sleeps. Bhagavatam sleeps.
Huh? Okay. Yeah. Right. Yes. Yeah. Correct. Yeah. I mean, interesting subject matter, actually. Today our chair remains empty. Anyways, now we have a special guest usually on Sunday. One of my god sisters who today did not, for some reason, come. Yeah, but she normally comes on Sunday. Okay.
I have one more thought.
Yes.
So as you mentioned that education is very important part of society. So, and I was thinking that education is depend on the faith of the students.
Education depends on the faith.
Yeah, because without faith, you cannot really teach essential things. Just gives information. It's not really education, because
Yes.
education means quality, develop good qualities in the students. For that, you need faith.
Faith.
And I was thinking that the first canto, mostly to build up faith in the person who have some initiating faith. Okay, I will listen something about this Bhagavatam. What happened? So here all the stories should focus to properly build up faith in the listener. Means
Yes.
faith have different faith. Like there is material faith, Lokika Shraddha. And Lokika Shraddha is like you don't have so much intelligence. You just hear something, great person, okay, I believe in that.
Right.
You are not really considering how it's happened, how to do, how to apply. So Lokika Shraddha is not enough for the Srimad Bhagavatam. We have to develop proper faith, means higher type of faith, means Shastra Shraddha. For that, we have to know these persons who will later represent the Shastra.
Yeah.
We have to build a faith. They are not blindly following neither Krishna. Arjuna is devotee,
right.
but he's not blind. Okay, Krishna, you told. Next step, I killed him. I didn't want that. No, he's considering the deep understanding. So that's we are building here with
Yes.
different stories and different tests.
Yes.
Because we see the person's inner understanding or consciousness when they are in difficulties. That's why Krishna is using that test method.
Yes.
Put pure devotees in difficulty, then you see they are different than average person.
Correct. Yes.
So this first canto mostly giving us to consider why I will listen long time. The next canto, why?
Right.
Because I'm interested for their face. I'm interested for their qualities.
Yes.
How could be I in this situation so sober as Arjuna? His red eyes. He's very angry. I was very angry, and then I do so many nasty things. But Arjuna not.
Right.
Arjuna start to consider the mother of Ashwatham would suffer, and that's we also have to solve that problem. So in an angry mood is not possible.
Right.
First have to control that anger. That Krishna is testing. Did you control your anger? Are you ready to think as a leader or?
Right. Yeah.
So that's, I think that part is very important to really study, to build up that kind of faith. Shastik.
Yeah. Actually, this is very much this point about building up strong Shraddha or faith is very much in keeping with how Vedic education is introduced in the context of the 4 traditional Vedic sciences. Because somebody was asking, there are 4 what is called Chatur Vidya. Chatur Vidya begins with the actually with what we call the science of philosophy, which is uh, divided in Sankhya, Yoga, and Tarka. So Sankhya actually is dealt with in the Bhagavatam. Yoga is dealt with especially in the Bhagavad Gita. So the point I want to make, which is connected with your point, is that before someone gets into, let's say, learning the other three sciences, the science of Trayi, Dandaniti, and Varta, which are the responsibility or the domain of Brahmana, Kshatriya, and Vaishyas, there needs to be a basic foundation. One needs to develop strong faith. One needs to develop clear understanding of the basics of the philosophy, and then one will be more prepared to go more deeply into the, yeah. So the first, actually, Prabhupada also has, I think he explains somewhere how he has especially prepared and put into the first canto and the purport of the first canto all that we need, actually, even pastimes that are there in the 10th canto, because as we know, Srila Prabhupada was, and he expressed this a number of times, did not know if he could actually complete translating the 12 cantos of the Bhagavatam, and therefore, if one, for example, is just having the first canto, and if one reads and studies nicely, attentively, there is sufficient information actually in the first canto, because ultimately self-realization is something that is possible only by the mercy of Guru and Krishna. So the basics, but I would say even beyond the basics, because Prabhupada intentionally put so much of information in the first canto, is extremely important. That's why some years back, I think devotees in large numbers printed the first canto and distributed. So I mean, we encourage people, of course, to have the entire set of Bhagavatam in their homes, but even having the first canto, if one reads and studies regularly, one will get sufficient knowledge and information. But yeah, education is a very major topic and subject matter, which is absolutely essential for us to actually understand what Vedic culture is all about. And that's why when we speak of education, we need to understand in terms of Vedic education. And Vedic education is primarily based on Vedic Shastra. That's something very important. And that's why in Vedic traditional education, let's say formal education of Gurukul, and as well as Varnashrama college, these are the subject matters based on Shastra for the different Varnas that need to be, Prabhupada told us, we have to develop a separate curriculum, a curriculum for Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishyas, and Shudras, so that everyone can simultaneously take up their material duties and at the same time advance and progress in Krishna consciousness. Okay, I think we can. Any other? Can bring it to a close for now. Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Jai Shri Prabhupada ki, Hare Krishna.